So this is the very first community radio show today, and I'm joined today by a very, very special guest, Carol Howard. Good afternoon, Carol.
Good afternoon.
And Carol's here today to talk about herself and what she does in the community. So Carol, can you just give us a bit of background information from a child up to an adult?
Right, as a child, I was born in London but moved to Blackpool with my parents when I was 3, and they worked on the Golden Mile in Blackpool, and they often used to leave me with the donkey man at an early age, so I became an expert in donkeys, pebbles and Punch and Judy. But at the age of 8, I started my progression into the world of dance. I went to the Winifred Clarkson School of Dance, followed by the Whitaker Stage School in Blackpool. I attended many festivals, and at the age of 16 I was the youngest person to win the Shakespeare Cup at Fleetwood Festival. But my parents were heavily into the theatre. My father was a scriptwriter and stage set designer, and my mother was an actress and producer. I enjoyed dancing up to the age of 16, and then when I was 18 my mother died of a heart attack, and I totally lost confidence with theatre and dance in general. But at the age of 18, just after my mum died, I was the youngest ever Mary Quant consultant, and I worked in Lewis's in Blackpool, Boots in Blackpool. There was Lewis's and Boots, and because of the recession, our cosmetics account had to be closed, and they offered me a transfer to either Glasgow or Stoke. And on hearing that Stoke-on-Trent had 15 nightclubs and 400 pubs as a 20-year-old, the choice was obvious. So I arrived in Lewis's in Hanley in 1981 and quickly made a lot of friends and fell in love with Stoke, and gained lots of advice from the general public about how to live in Stoke-on-Trent, learn the dialect. That took a bit of doing. And then when I was 22, I married my husband. We've been together 28 years now. And I had a Tim aged 23 the year after in 1983. But I'd actually started dancing again when I was 40 because of a career change. And that was through Newcastle College, and I started to teach salsa dancing. But I'd already fell in love with Arabic dancing, Middle Eastern dance, when I was 40 years old through a local teacher called Jane. So now, so many years on, I'm an active belly dance teacher in the community, but I'm also trustee of a charity, and I'm also a registered goat keeper through another diversion of mine of actually obtaining 5 goats and becoming a registered goat keeper. And I'm organising a festival at Wood Farm near Alton Towers where my goats reside.
Fantastic. God, Carol, you certainly keep yourself busy. And our listeners today might hear a bit of background noise, and please do excuse that, because that's the engineers who are actually fixing up our new studio. Today we're in the temporary studio for Autism Radio UK on the Community channel this week. So please do bear with us, it will get better. So Carol, can you so you've as you've said, you've come through a very theatrical background, and you've done so many things, and so leading on to that, Carol, we touch a sensitive subject now. Carol recently lost her son Ben through cancer, so could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, Ben left home to set up his own house with 2 friends in May 2007, and he was thrilled at the prospect of being so independent. He also changed a job from being daytime job to all nights working at New Look Distribution in Chesterton. But he became ill in September time and went to the doctors with stomach problems, and they diagnosed over acids in his stomach, gave him some tablets, but then on Halloween evening he was admitted through the A&E department with very, very, very tired, looking very yellow and with stomach problems, and less than a week later he was diagnosed with a duodenal tumour, which was inoperable, incurable, aggressive, extensive and tragically terminal. So having all these things thrown at us, he actually lived 6 weeks from his initial admission to hospital. But during the time that he was ill, we researched on the internet and through friends, and he was very, very happy to receive Reiki by 2 friends of mine, Lynn Sumner and Julie Gator, who gave up their own time free of charge as Reiki masters to deliver some relief for Ben. The palliative care was very good. The morphine is a very old medication, but it's very effective. And thankfully, Ben was relieved of the pain for as long as his medication was given on time. But we found some consolation in gene therapy. A friend of mine in Nottingham, his business partner, had had gene therapy from China 2.5 years earlier, having been diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer. And he actually was alive and well, and it gave Ben hope, real hope. So he didn't expect to die, and it was through complications that Ben sadly passed away. And while he was alive, we set up the Ben Howard Cancer Appeal, which was designed to help get gene therapy in the UK so that Ben could have this relief and survive the cancer. Tragically, Ben didn't, but we have since raised over £30,000, and we have a turnover now through a charity warehouse of over £2,000 a week. So we can give individual grants to cancer sufferers. We gave £3,000 to Ashley Tyler, who had Ewing sarcoma, who died aged 20, but with the money we gave him, he set up home with his girlfriend and went on holiday to Turkey. So he did have some good times to, for him to live through and for his family to remember. And we've helped lots of local people. And the latest is Harry Mosley, who's 10 years old, who actually lives in Sheldon in Birmingham, but has helped cancer charities locally with brain tumour research. Harry makes friendship bracelets and sells them for charities in mainly brain tumour research. And the money, they had lost their home because of the illness, and they were able to help use the £1,000 to help decorate their home. Then, unfortunately, tomorrow it's the funeral of Lewis Routledge, who's 2.5 years old, and he died of a very, very rare form of cancer, with only 3 children in 100 actually surviving it. Sadly, it's the funeral, but we did give £1,000 to his family, and they used it to get a new car seat and for some oxygen therapy. So we do have the charity warehouse. It's open 7 days a week, 10 till 4 p.m, and it's at Frailings Furniture Place. So if you've got a sat-nav, it's ST6 for Alpha Lima N for Nigel, and we accept any donations of anything except fridges and freezers or household rubbish. We don't really particularly want that, but we accept any furniture, any bric-a-brac, any ornaments, any textiles. So we do accept those, and in the past few months I've become co-director of a social enterprise called Staffordshire Social Solutions.
Okay, so coming back to Ben, when Ben first got diagnosed with cancer, did the family or professionals knew actually what was actually wrong with him, or was it sort of like left on a back burner then? He was suddenly admitted to hospital. Didn't he undergo any further test?
He had lots of tests done. He had a camera down his throat twice and photographs taken, and that's where they found the tumour. He had blood tests sent off to Birmingham, and he had... So
was he having these symptoms for a long time before he actually had an endoscopic?
Yeah, well, not really, no. September the symptoms began, and the symptoms were tiredness, bloating, feeling dizzy, feeling very hungry, but as soon as he started to eat, he felt full. But this was understandable once we knew he had a duodenal tumour, so he had a tumour in his small intestine. But the doctors said that was definitely not the primary cancer, and his bile duct was blocked, so he was very yellow. So it's extensive. So years ago, I would expect they probably would open him up with surgery and then sew him back again. So he didn't have to go through that major surgery. He had the camera down his throat, which isn't a pleasant thing, but at least he didn't have the invasive surgery. So on the death certificate, it said it was cancer, but of unknown origin. So they didn't know where it started. So he'd left home in the May. So in the months leading up to his illness, in the July he was fine because he had his 21st birthday party.
So it was within a matter of a couple of months, from July to September, this rapidly onset of the cancer. Yes,
and they said that it was very aggressive and extensive.
So can you tell us a bit more about, for our listeners, because probably a lot of listeners out there don't actually know what gene therapy is?
Gene therapy, yes. Within us, everybody has a P53 gene. The P53 gene is the cancer-killing gene. So it effectively stops your cells in your body becoming cancerous. when somebody has cancer, their P53 gene has stopped functioning.
Right.
And in China and in America, they use this gene therapy whereby they have to get the P53 gene has been developed, and it can be put into your body and targeted to the cancer. But it can either go through it was designed for neck and facial tumours to be injected straight into the tumour, effectively being a cancer suicide treatment. But when it's like a stomach cancer, it would have to be fed through a drip, and to actually get it to reach the cancer, you would have to have a transmitter or a transport, a way of getting that P53 gene to the cancer. And they had a small virus, so that's the way that they would transmit it, injecting a tiny virus which would give you a bit of a fever, but subsequently the cancer would be reached and the P53 gene would be active and would kill the cancer. That's how it's supposed to work.
So in research practice, does this gene therapy actually cure the cancer when somebody's got a form of cancer? Can it actually cure it, or does it just improve the quality of life? Or
what the gentleman in Nottingham said, who had the treatment, said it can effectively kill the cancer, but it can't predict where the cancer might spread to. So the cancer could come back somewhere else. The gene therapy doesn't do that. But there is a British Society of Gene Therapy, and they have a conference every year of all the scientists that get together, usually in London, and it's the EU regulations that are stopping people from getting the clinical trials on humans in this country. It's the European legislation that's got too many restrictions. So I have got an online petition to number 10 Downing Street for people to sign, and as many people as possible, including scientists and biology students, if they get on board and help us get gene therapy in the UK.